Order. As chair of the Timberlane Regional School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Timberlane Regional School Board at timberlane.net/Zoom TRSB. If anybody has a problem, please call 382-6541 extension 3955. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by a roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance when each member states their presence. Please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Mr. Doobie is not able to attend this evening. So Kat, if you could take the roll call attendance, please.
Brian Boyle.
Here, I am alone in the room. There is other family members in the house.
Kim Farah.
I'm here, I'm alone in the room. There are other family members in the house.
Barbara Kishka.
I am present and alone in the house.
Sheila Lowe's.
Here, alone in the house.
Sarah Muckamer.
Here, I'm alone in the room. There are other family members in my house.
Sean O'Neill.
I am present. I am alone in my office, and there are other members of my household in the building.
Kristen Savage.
Present, I'm alone in the room and there are other family members in the house.
Jennifer Silva.
I am here alone in the house. I do expect other people home at some point.
Dr. Metzler.
Present, I'm alone in my office and there are other members of my family in the house.
Kyle Duffy. You're muted, Kyle.
I am present and I am alone in the room, but there are members of my family in the household.
Okay, thank you. If you can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Before we move on to the minutes, I do want to acknowledge that there was a petition that was brought forward by a member of the community with approximately 2,500 signatures related to the posting of the music position. I did want to acknowledge the that Music Matters petition has reached the board, and that we will be discussing staffing later on in this agenda. So moving on to approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Sorry, moving down here. Is there a motion to approve the, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So made.
A motion to approve. Second.
Barbara seconds. Sean makes the motion.
This is May 21st, right?
Yes.
And there were two sets?
Hang on, I lost my site here. Yes, there were two sets, hang on. Sorry, I was looking for the policy and I lost my agenda packet, my minutes.
I sent you the policy, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Oh gosh, sorry. There's.
Okay, so the minutes, let's approve the minutes from the 5/21 meeting. That's what we're approving, then we'll approve the non-public minutes. Any questions on the minutes of 5:21? If not, Kat, can you take the vote, please?
Kat, you're on mute.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Mr. Doobie, pardon me, he's not here. Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Mrs. Lowe's,
Yes.
Ms. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then, hang on, back to my agenda. The next order of business
The
is,
non-publics?
oh, I'm sorry, the non-publics. Thank you, Barbara. I'm not doing well. I just opened those up. Is there,
I motion to accept the non-public minutes from May 21st.
okay,
I'll
Motion.
second.
Sheila seconds. Kat, can you go ahead and take a vote on that?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, this will be our last meeting with Mr. Duffy. We appreciate your work. We wish you the best at American University. We will virtually give you a handshake. You will receive something in the mail from the board as a token of our appreciation, and we've appreciated your insight, and we look forward to hearing back from you in the future as you continue your career. So hopefully you'll come back and tell us what you're doing, and I'm going to leave it to you to introduce our new student representative for this coming year.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to start off with just a few odds and ends that I want to get out there, and then we can get on to the little farewell spiel and introducing Jenna. So congratulations, everybody. We made it to the end of the school year, and we should all be very proud of what we've done as a district. Against the odds of the situation, we've continued to learn and educate together. And though we face challenges and a lot of difficulties, I want to thank the staff and administration, the technology departments, the SAU, and the school board for what we've accomplished in the past 11 weeks. I'm always amazed by what this school district can do, and this definitely blew me away. So on behalf of the students, congratulations and thank you to everyone who has been a part of online learning. I hope that in the fall we can return to some form of normalcy if the situation provides for it. So I have a few quick reminders for parents and students in the upcoming weeks and months. First of all, be checking your school email, and parents be checking the email that you gave to the school as often as possible. Lots of information is coming out on how we're going to continue and move forward. From now until June 12th, students can return their books in bins in front of the school from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is textbooks and books that you took out from the school library. And additionally, keep your eyes out for online celebrations and ceremonies over the coming weeks through live stream and Vimeo. We already had the music awards on the district Facebook and the academic excellence awards over Vimeo the other day as well. And as Dr. Farah mentioned, I'd like to bring up quickly the music department position posting. As we know, it's now kind of up for grabs due to Mrs. Pajak's retirement. And I just want to make sure the board knows, as I'm sure they already know from the petition, that the students in our community want to see expediency in the issue, and we want to make sure that we can discuss this tonight and try and figure out what we're doing going forward. As the sooner the posting is up and the search for candidates is active, we're going to be able to find somebody who can fill those incredible shoes that Miss Pajak filled for such a long time. And I hope somebody can take on the responsibilities of that role. So we appreciate your guys' help and cooperation in that, and I appreciate the community coming out to stand behind that. So it does bring me great sadness that this is going to be my last meeting as student representative to the school board. To the students who elected me in my constituency, it's been an incredible honor to serve as your representative to this board. I appreciate your choosing me to fill the key role in the district function. Thanks to the help of many students, we've spoken out about how we want our graduation to look, how we want to be educated during online learning, and most importantly, in my opinion, is how we have been able to call for true compliance with the requirements of Title IX so all students can have an equitable experience here at Timberlane. And to the school board, to all of you, I appreciate the respect you've provided me while sitting on this board, and I thank you for hearing the voices of our students. I'm really grateful for the learning opportunity that this has provided me as an individual, especially about the local budgeting process. I sure have seen a lot about that. And I hope that you guys continue to value the student voice and allow future school board representatives to create greater student networks so that students know how and why decisions are made in our district. So thank you so much. Thank you all so much again. It's been my pleasure and an honor serving the Timberlane District. And though I'm sad to leave, I am proud to say that we have a wonderful upcoming student representative that I'd like to introduce now. Jenna Horan is a rising senior who was recently elected to succeed myself in this important position, and I'm excited to see what she will accomplish, and I know that she's going to fight for the student voice. So introducing Jenna.
Thank you, Kyle. Hi, I'm Jenna. I'm so excited for the opportunity to work with all of you in the next year. I'm really passionate about my academics as well as the music department and theater at school. I'm very involved in everything, and I'm just so excited to really get an inside look on what our school district is and what our school district is going to be in the next year. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jenna. I welcome Jenna, and Sheila has her hand up. Go ahead.
I do. Jenna, welcome. Kyle, we're going to miss you. I want to congratulate you on top 10 academic excellence. I saw you up there. And I want to thank you for bringing the student voice to us. That the thing that I think hits me the most is the Title IX with the lockers. And you did an excellent job, and I just want to thank you again and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
And congratulations to all the graduates. I have not seen the Carriagetown News, but I heard there was a big photo ops for all our seniors in there. So if you don't normally get it, you should try to go out and get it. I think everybody was in there. So I usually get it, but I haven't gotten it yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I'm sure we'll be updating on graduation as soon as we find out what is happening here.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on.
Barbara.
Who's gonna? Barbara.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say to Kyle, I've only been on the board a short while, but I've really enjoyed seeing your speaking skills grow and your organizational skills grow. And I think you're going to do great at American University. So congratulations, and thank you again for being the voice for the students.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Did a good job, Kyle.
Thank
Right.
you.
Moving on, we're moving on to the AP Physics book approval. I'll turn it over to either Mrs. Allaire. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Farah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So Tim Glancy, our Dean of STEM, is joining us this evening as well. I believe you have an updated and revised quote in your board packet, as well as a very brief executive summary. But generally, the overview is that since our last meeting together 2 weeks ago, we went back to our publishing rep. This is a book that is offered through Pearson. So we reached out to them, asked for a revised quote. And again, this is a book that is slated to be used in AP Physics, but also in other physics courses that are offered at our high school. So we currently run sections of both CCP, so that's College and Career Prep Physics, as well as Accelerated Physics, Advanced Placement, as well as an integrated course of Physics and Chemistry. So that is a double blocked class. It meets for 90 minutes every day. It's populated by students as young as 10th grade. It can go all the way up through 11th and 12th grade as well. But all of those courses will be accessing this textbook. So in requesting a quote, we went back and looked again at our projected enrollment for the fall. You know, those were some questions that were asked 2 weeks ago when we last presented. So in looking at all of those courses, we have currently a combined total of 171 students registered. We are looking for class sets of 25 textbooks per classroom. So ideally, when we return to normal conditions and we are back in school with our students, the idea is that we would like to populate a set of resources, textbook resources for all classrooms where these courses are taught. Those textbooks, the hardcover textbooks, will remain in the class so that as students come in to take the course, they can access them if necessary. They will remain behind for future classes when they come in and their schedule has physics on it. That being said, we also wanted to ensure that we have digital access for all students. So while we're looking for 125 hard copies, which will set up 5 classrooms of 25 sets of textbooks per class, we wanted to make sure that we had sufficient e-texts and digital access for all students enrolled. So the quote that you see in front of you is a quote for 125 hard copy textbooks that come with 6-year digital access and e-text licenses. Because we have more students enrolled than that, you'll also see that we requested an additional 50 6-year e-text licenses. That gets us to a combined total of 175 6-year digital licenses. So all students, again, will have access to the hard copy textbooks in the classroom, but when they are at home, when they're in the class actually on their Chromebooks, they can use the e-text on those. Or should we ever need to enter another situation, such as the one we were in, and we're once again in remote learning, we know that it's going to be important for all students to have digital access. So those licenses do not expire with the students. They are a 1-for-1 license based on enrollment. So those 175 licenses will carry us through 6 years. Should our enrollment increase above 175, we can reach out to Pearson and up those licenses based on increased enrollment, should that be a situation we come into. And so the total that you'll see in front of you is just under 30,000. That includes shipping. So it's at 29,963.22. And additionally, we did verify that the digital textbook can be accessed on Chromebooks, and the teacher access point will function on our district issued laptops. In addition to that, I know a question that came up 2 weeks ago was how students and teachers will access this. So the e-text will be accessed through what's called the mastering platform. That is the textbook series that we are looking to purchase. And we have ensured as well that should our teachers need some training, that is part of this as well. So we will have access to that. It can be self-scheduled. It can be as little or as much as the teachers need to get us through.
Thank you. Barbara?
So there was some confusion about which book it was. Which book did the committee actually recommend? There was Knight and there's Etna.
Yeah,
which one did they actually recommend?
This is the textbook that you see in front of you. This is the Mastering Physics textbook. I know there were a couple of different versions, but the version that you see in front of you as our proposal is the one that the Curriculum Assessment Committee voted to approve back in late fall, November or December, I believe.
Thank you.
Sheila?
Mrs. Allaire, what is the highest number we've had for kids in physics?
I would have to look back at that. I don't have that in front of me. I'm happy to get that for you.
Well, no, I mean, we're just looking at what's actually enrolled now in all these physics classes.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to ask a stupid question because I thought we didn't have that information yet. I thought we weren't sure of numbers yet because the schedules haven't been done. So how do we make sure that we have enough, because we haven't done schedules or any of that, right?
Well, we have tentative schedules for the high school. The middle school right now, their schedules are not complete for some of their unified arts, which are scheduled off team. So those are in process at the middle school. At the high school, we do have tentative schedules through PowerSchool. Those are done through the course selection process, and then the program itself generates the best fit for all students. There are still some changes that will happen during the summer, all of that. So they're not finalized. They're tentative. So these are the projected numbers based on that process.
Okay.
Well, that, Mrs. Allaire, I also would think that historically your approximate number of physics students, so you're probably basing it on the trend.
Yes, and again, this is, I want to say, the 3rd year that we have been able to offer that integrated course as well, so we're including those numbers as well.
Okay, thank you. Just one other comment in terms of learning management systems, because there was talk last time about that, you do want to make sure that whatever one you go with, that mastering will feed into that, because not all that Schoology, I don't think mastering uses that, but something you want to consider as you move to electronic platforms for your, homework assignments.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate that, that point. We'll make sure we ask those questions. Should we move in that direction?
Okay, thank you. Can I entertain a motion to accept this book?
I'll make the motion to accept this book, and thank you, Mrs. Allaire. This was crystal clear this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for bearing with us. We apologize again for the confusion.
No problem. So somebody want to second Sheila's motion? Sean seconds. Kat, could you take a vote, please?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Muckamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the remote instruction update. Board members, you have data in your packet. If there are no questions on that, or we can entertain questions as we move forward. I'd like to talk about the technology purchase plan, if that's okay. Mr. Henderson?
So in your packet, you'll find the executive summary on the technology purchases update. And what this really is just a recap of what we talked about at the last meeting and getting some clarity from the board. So Jeff and I talked about what we'd want to do with this. You approved $160,000 to move from the operating budget to purchasing student devices in an effort to move the elementary schools to a one-to-one type scenario. And in looking at this, we were looking at 400 Chromebooks, 220 touch Chromebooks. Forgive me, I did not put the tablets in there. I'm not really worried about those in terms of supplies or getting those. I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's really about the Chromebooks that are really up for grabs between school districts. So we had, if you recall at my last update 2 weeks ago, I talked about how we had an RFP we put out there for the summer purchases. And the results of those, that bid is in your packet. Somebody had asked for that. And as you can tell, looking at the various bidders, that we had a pretty good showing. We had maybe close to 10 bidders. A vendor called SunnyTech was the winner with the best prices and the Chromebooks we liked. And we're simply going to ask, I guess it would be, you guys were talking about it before the meeting. Do we want to waive the bid policy? I guess that's what we would need to do to go ahead and just purchase from SunnyTech. I did get clarity from them but they would honor that price on these additional purchases, and but they could secure the inventory for us for a July delivery. So I guess Jeff and I were talking, and we would like to get the cross our T's, dot our I's, and get approval to not put these additional devices up for bid and to just purchase from the winning bidder that just came through about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
So I guess I'm a little confused. So this did already go out for bid?
No, I think the date on this is wrong. I think that should say 2019. Mr. Henderson, isn't that the summer 2019 technology purchase bids?
No. So we're talking, I know it's confusing. There's two different things going on here. So the first is stuff that was budgeted for next year anyways.
Oh, okay. These are bids that already went out for this coming summer, but you just want to add numbers to those.
Correct. So at the last board meeting, you guys approved additional Chromebooks and tablets on top of what was budgeted last year.
I don't know that, does that really need to go up? Would that really need to go up? I'm sorry, I would like to see faces. Let me go back. I'm traveling back and forth. So we already put a bid out for the best prices on Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So
correct.
Why would we need to waive the bid?
I don't think we do.
We're just looking to add more Chromebooks to it.
Yeah.
We're not looking
It's
for a
like
new-
and like.
Yeah, we don't need to. We don't need to. I was confused. I now understand what that. Yeah, no, we don't need to. We're good with this.
I
So
feel like it would already went out for bid to secure the best pricing, which we did get the best pricing per unit, regardless of how many units we purchased. That is the best pricing per unit.
Right.
So,
So
I think that's responsible. Thank you.
Yeah, it makes sense. So we've already authorized this purchase up to 160,000. What are you looking for action here, Mr. Henderson?
It's just clarity. It was, Jeff is a very meticulous CFO, and he just wanted to make sure we weren't violating the spirit of some policy with technically this type of thing would go up for, based on the amount of the purchase, it would go up for bid. We didn't know basically whether or not we could just go ahead and purchase from that previous bid winner. It makes perfect sense to me that we could do that, and I'm totally cool with that, and that's what we'll do. That's what I was kind of hoping.
When were these bids received for this?
Just about 2.5 weeks ago or so. It was in I'm sorry, 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't know if I said.
No, I don't.
Specific items did go out for bid. We're just looking to change the quantity on them.
Right.
That correct. Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
I don't. Anybody, Sheila?
I just have a question on the tablets. Because he said he wasn't going to have a problem getting the tablets. Did we ever get a price on the tablets?
I have preliminary pricing for that I gave to you in the budget. It was about $99 per unit.
And how many units are we buying?
I believe I asked for, it was in my last update. It was another 90, I believe. So I don't think it falls. I'll have to do the math. Obviously, it was 10,000 is the limit for a bid, right? So if we anticipate it's going to be over that, we'll put it out for bid. If it's below that, we'll get at least the 3 quotes, of course.
It looks like if you're ordering 90 and they're at 99, it looks like you'd be under the 10,000.
Okay. Well, like I said, the quantities there are not a problem. We'll get at least the 3 bids and go with the best pricing, of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Jim,
Sean?
I would also recommend that, with the additional units that we're going to be purchasing, we should probably go to the winning bidders and let them know that we are going to be ordering more, and to see if they would sharpen their pencil even more based on the new quantity.
Yeah, it's a good ask, Sean, and I will ask that. I don't anticipate they will, just because the demand, they're going to sell out of these things regardless. I will go back and ask that. They guaranteed the same pricing for us, which I was happy about. And I was nervous that if we did have to go back out to bid for these additional quantities, that the price is only going to go up as the demand increases and the supply shrinks of these devices. So I'll certainly ask that. I don't anticipate they will come down at all per unit, but I will. I'll bring it up. It's a pretty good price there for that Lenovo at $158 a piece. That's a decent price.
Kim, I have one more question.
Yep, go ahead, Sheila.
I don't know if we need a motion or whatever for these to just push it along. The other question I have is, and I don't know if Sandy or Liz is still here. We were discussing some technology for teachers to coincide with Power School last week.
Yeah,
We're talking about learning management system.
Yes, yep. I am still here. That's Schoology.
Right. So before we move ahead with this, did anybody talk to the TTA or define how?
Yeah, I can answer that. I actually spoke with Ryan Richmond, who's the president of the TTA, regarding the potential investigation of learning management systems for both our kindergarten, preschool K, and then elementary all the way up through 12th grade. What we talked about is designing an opportunity for teachers in these weeks where we do not have students to perhaps view some informational videos regarding these new platforms and what they entail. And after doing that, collecting some feedback from the teachers to see how they would feel about this transition, if it looks like it would be something they would be interested in. So we're in the process of doing that. We actually just had informational calls this week with Schoology and another platform. So yeah, that is in process.
So you should have a better idea at the next meeting on which way we're moving with this?
We should definitely have feedback from,
Okay.
yes, our teaching staff. Yes, we should have feedback from them at that point,
Okay.
and we can give you an update.
Okay. And the next question I have is, as far as professional development days, are we gearing, as we talked about, towards remote learning and such with these last few days of school?
So we have this week, our focus of our professional staff for teaching is wrapping up their grades. They're doing report cards, completing that.
Right.
Some of our professional development does have options. We tried to provide flexibility for them to choose topics that would be relevant to them. So we have some topics with regard to reporting out. We have a new process for report cards. So that's one option. We had about 80 staff members district-wide sign up for that. We also have some webinars that just started today, the first of them, and we have a series really around social emotional learning to be able to support our students and our community around some of the trauma that they've experienced going through this right now. So yes, there's a lot to it. There are other pieces that are more curriculum focused. And then other opportunities to learn more about technology and the platforms that are being used. So our district technology integrator and staff have put together a whole menu of options for staff pertaining to technology right now during what we've been living. So again, teachers have flexibility to make choices based on what their needs are.
Okay. My biggest hope was in these professional developments was to, I'm trying to look forward to the fall and what we may be faced with. So that's why I was asking the question. Because I know we have a lot of people not comfortable.
So that, that's definitely a focus that we've had. But again, trying to be as respectful of, we have some staff who have various needs in different areas. So we want to be able to allow them to make choices that are relevant to what their goals are for themselves professionally and what their needs are. So, but no, we share your feeling. I mean, we certainly want to make sure that we are providing everything that our teachers need right now. So, and there's been a lot of new learning going on during this process, I can tell you.
Right.
Yeah, with everyone. So.
Okay, so we can get a report as far as on the feedback on the technology that we're looking at next on the 18th.
Sure. If you would like that, we'd be happy to work on that and have that ready for you.
Well, this way we know which way we're going with that, right? I mean, we can't really push it upon them if they're not comfortable with it. I mean, we have to have their support.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Isn't that a bit premature? We were just talking about maybe doing it. We're not pushing it, right? The learning management system.
They're going to be looking at it, working with it a little bit, giving us some feedback. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's going to depend on how the teachers feel about it.
Are we talking about Schoology?
Yes.
Yeah, we did secure a lot of training, not training materials, I should say. That's the next step. Be more demonstration materials, I guess. Short targeted videos where it explains the platform, the benefits of it, what it looks like from a teacher view, from a parent view, from a student view, so that we can get that out to teachers so that they can review it and get back to us with some sort of feedback. So we didn't have we've talked about how they're there in school figuratively in school till the 18th. We can get them out some materials and get out some, to figure out some feedback mechanism and get that back to you. So I think.
Right. We obviously, we want to know what they think. That was one of the conversations last week, was having them look at it.
No, absolutely. I think I think Lucy was kind of alluded to with the end of the year, wrapping up, grading and everything. We're planning for that now. So we actually sat with Schoology today, and the platform, I think it looks really good. I don't want to speak for Sandy, Lucy, and Mark, who sat in it as well, but I think it was fairly impressive. That being said, we need, to your point, Sheila, we need to make sure the teachers are on board before we don't want to foist it on anybody. We want to.
Well, that was, I guess, my point is that are we doing that, and are we,
Yeah, no,
getting their opinions on it and seeing, they've got to buy into this too.
I totally agree. And if the feedback we get is negative, then that's not a direction we'll take for sure. So.
Okay.
Well, and there's a couple things that you've got to bear in mind here that are still big question marks. Will we be returning face-to-face in the fall, or won't we be returning face-to-face? And if you're not, and you're now changing your learning management system, it also has a big impact for parents. And I think you need to consider that if you're going to change that. And also, it's also going to impact, there's always a learning curve with these LMSs, the teachers. So now you're going to be asking them to put new material online in the fall if they have to do that. Because remember, they were teaching in the spring. Now their course material for the fall is going to have to now go online. So I don't think you're going to be prepared on the 18th to really come back with that, even if you've discussed it with teachers. But if you can, that's fine. And we can discuss it later.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a big thing, but it is. It's a big thing for teachers. And I think you've got to consider parents' technology, especially with younger students. So.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, so we don't need action on the technology purchase. I think it's just an increase in quantity. We approved the funds for last time. I did check the last agenda. You are under 10,000. You had 90 of those at $100, so that's 9,000. So that's acceptable. So Mr. Henderson, moving on to the data governance plan annual review. This is a lengthy document. Thank you for pointing out where the changes were. They're relatively minor. Do board members have questions on this? I'm Barbara, do you have, you're shaking your head, Barbara. I knew you might have some questions on this one.
Yeah, but I was in a seminar, the governance seminar before this, and did not have a chance to go through the 90 pages of agenda packet before that. So I'll take a look, and I'll respond by email if that's okay.
It is, but once we take action on this, we're approving it for the year. Are you
let me just take a quick look at the passwords.
Mr. Henderson, sure. if you would indulge us, maybe we can do it next time. I'm fine with doing it next time. I know this is your bailiwick, Barbara, not mine. So, Mr. Henderson.
Yeah, of course. Whenever works for the board, I'll come back. My calendar's pretty open.
Well, this goes back to the stuff, Kim, is that we're getting stuff today to be reviewed and approved tonight. People work. They don't have the time to look at these things. If it was at least done yesterday, Barbara could have looked at this last night. I could have looked at it last night.
Oh, that's true, but I can tell you there were some issues with technical issues with that, and also the other issue was the superintendent and I did not meet till this Monday, and that was part of the reason the agendas got out late. Plus, we pushed the meeting back a day, so I do appreciate that the board members need to. So I'm happy to push this out to the next agenda so board members have time to review it. I know the staff is working to get it. There was a personnel report came in later. Again, the internet was down for some people, so that was part of the issue. But I will take responsibility for the lateness of some of this because we were just meeting later than we normally would. But we will continue to work to try to get this stuff out soon.
I did look at some of it, and honestly, like not a lot of that made a whole lot of sense to me. That's not my wheelhouse. I looked at the VPN part and a couple other parts, and I was like, oh, Barbara will have this.
All right. Well, let's move on then, Mr. Henderson, and if you can indulge us, Barbara, if you have questions, send them to me and then I'll move them forward because we'll probably be able to move through this quickly. Now, if you have questions on this for next time, send them to me and I'll forward them. Anybody on the board, so we can just move to approve this next time or incorporate changes, okay? The next thing on the agenda is contract updates. Board members, you have in your packets something on this. I'm not sure. I'm happy to speak to this. I discussed it
Okay, Mike, if I could, 'cause
Go ahead.
So it's my pleasure to introduce a staff member. I know we've had a hard time because we haven't been in person for quite some time, but a while back the SAU board approved us bringing on a new business operations coordinator, which is kind of like an assistant BA for all intents and purposes. So tonight with us, if you look at your Hollywood squares here, she's down in the 4th row next to in between Ken and Sarah, at least on my screen. I'd like to introduce you Maria Watkins. She's helping our CFO, and they're doing a great job working together. So she is here tonight to talk a little bit about the contract updates, meaning the refunds information that we got back, and answer any questions that you have about that process. So Maria, all yours.
Good night. Thank you, Dr. Metzler, for the introduction. As he said, I'm the new business operations coordinator, and I am very thankful for the opportunity to serve our district. The contracts update, the first part of it is the transportation. So our regular transportation provider, First Student, has honored their 35% discount for the April and the May contract price. First Student typically lays off their drivers after the last day of school and continues the drivers' benefits throughout the summer. So since the final date for online learning was May 29, they made the decision to follow the regular practice and lay off their drivers after that day. So for this, they had agreed to provide us a 45% discount for the month of June instead of the 35%. This leaves us with a savings of $332,000 for our regular transportation. And our special education transportation provider, they're providing our food assistance program transportation. And they have agreed to give us an 8% discount during the remote learning time. So this leaves us with a $85,000 savings for the special transportation, with a total of $417,000 savings for the transportation expense. Now for the food service contract, as you know, our food service contract with Whitson's is scalable. So we pay them directly dollar for dollar for the amounts they pay for labor, for food, and for supplies. We also continue to pay them their administrative and management fees, since they are still providing us with the food assistance program and making it possible for all of our students to have meals during this remote learning time. The program will go until June 30th, as it was agreed with them, and they are going to serve us until that day. So while we are experiencing significant cost savings in food and supplies, we are also experiencing a loss on revenue, which will result in a deficit to the food service fund. The anticipated deficit only on the Whitson's contract for April, May, and June is anticipated to be about $85,000. That's only on their side, on the contract with Whitson's. And then the total food service fund deficit anticipated is $175,000, which that includes our employees' labor cost. Now, both of these figures, they were.
We lost her.
Ms. Watkins, we lost you.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Can hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you were just finishing up with the food service when we lost you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the total food service deficit will be $175,000. And of course, this is subject to the inventory adjustment, which is at the end of the year. And obviously this year, this adjustment will be different than prior years, since the food service was, for the last 4 months, has been different.
What does that mean, a year-end inventory adjustment? What are we adjusting in the inventory?
So at year end, they adjust their inventories for all the food that is remaining in the kitchens.
Okay.
So any inventory that they have, because we cannot keep all the inventory for the summer, they have an adjustment that they do every year at year end.
Okay, thank you.
So this year, because the supply was very different, obviously we don't know what it's gonna be. It's very hard to project.
Okay, thank you. Do you know how many Whitson's employee and how many Timberlane employees we have?
I do not know the exact count, but I can definitely get back to you on that.
That's okay, just curious. So we're, of the 85,000, we have about 90,000 because of the Timberlane staff that we're still paying, and about 85,000 because of the Whitson's contract.
Yes.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that's for the 3 months, for April, May, and June.
Okay, thank you. Sheila?
Does any of this include the reimbursement we would be getting back from federal for?
No,
Sorry.
this does not include any reimbursement yet. We do have the reimbursement that we are projecting from the state, although we don't know what it is. We have that in the surplus projection that Jeff presented last meeting.
Okay.
So we're accounting for that on that side, but it's not included on this. This is truly the loss of the food program.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay. Well, Kim's not there, so I'm just going to ask away. So we were told how much we would be reimbursed for people participating in the lunch program through remote learning, correct?
Yes. So the state is refunding us based on the meals that we serve.
Okay. So in these dollar amounts here, we're not showing our revenue. So even though we're looking at a total food service fund deficit anticipated at approximately $175,000, we also do anticipate some revenue from the waiver for the meals that we served, correct?
Yes, this deficit is accounting for that reimbursement that we're receiving, because the reimbursement that we're receiving is the reimbursement that we receive for the low-income program, for the NEED program. So this is accounting for the reimbursement that we already got for those 3 months. So in the month of April, we received $19,000 refund for the students that we fed through the month of April. In May, the students that we served, the quantity was higher, so we're anticipating it will be about $30,000. And then in June, as you can see in the report today, the number of students participating in the program has decreased significantly in these last couple weeks. The program is down about 16%. So we don't know what June is going to be.
And so that $175,000 already takes into account the, $60,000 or so that we would expect in the revenue that we're getting in.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. You have to keep in mind the program will bring about between $450,000 and $500,000 in revenue.
Right. That's usually the transfer amount every year. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so my understanding is that the first student drivers were laid off as of May 29th. And so we got proportionally more back. We negotiated with first student. Were the Whitson's cafeteria workers laid off, and did we get any reimbursement for that?
No, they were not laid off. We asked them to keep their workers, and they were not laid off.
Oh, so the Whitson's workers were not furloughed?
No. and some, well, they're actually preparing food for the food assistance program now.
Well, how many are actually doing that? I think there's like 4 or 5.
I don't have the answer for that. I can get back to you on that as well. I'm not sure exactly how many, but it is my understanding that that was part of the agreement with them, that they will keep their workers and we will reimburse them for their workers as part of the contract. I mean, it's part of the contract with them.
Okay. All right, Sheila?
Kim, I'm going to ask that hopefully next week that the surplus, the surplus sheet that we get,
Yeah.
that it's more refined. Meaning, I'm looking at the last one and, you know, we have a revenue variance and there's one amount, it doesn't say where it's coming from. I just would like to see, because I'm, you know, grant expected relief. We don't have any, it looks like a big guesstimate to me. So I guess as far as the revenue variance, I'd like to see where that's coming from.
So, Ms. Watkins, if you could pass that on to Mr. Dowd, that when he reports on the surplus, if he could break out the revenue by line item at greater detail.
Absolutely, I can certainly do that.
It's just a little confusing to me.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
And I think we should confirm that Whitson's workers are still working. My understanding from speaking to people is that they were furloughed as of May 29th.
Okay, I can, like I said, my understanding was that they were still working, but I can confirm that and definitely tell Jeff to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're serving meals through June 30th.
Yes, we are.
So don't we have some Whitson's people participating in that?
There isn't that many though, Jen. There's like 6, if I recall, on the vouchers. There aren't that many. You know, it's not the whole staff. It's a skeleton staff making those lunches.
Yeah. Okay.
Kim, if I could?
Yes.
I think if you look year to year, I'm not quite sure that like Whitson's, their employees, you know, they work when we need them and then we pay them for their labor. I don't think they, and I'm with you in the question, asking the question. I want to find out if they were furloughed, but they weren't furloughed last year when they were done serving. So they just work up to the last day and then they clean the kitchens and do whatever and we pay them. But I don't think they get furloughed in the summer. I don't think they lay them off in previous years. So I don't know if they would do that this year, but they may have. But that wasn't communicated to us. I was under the impression that they were not going to be furloughed.
Okay, so I guess the question is, were they furloughed or not? And I don't know their contract. Are they contracted for 180 days or are they contracted till the end of school?
They're typically here, well, you know, with the students serving. I mean, we don't have them working all summer, so they're not.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what Whitson's does with their employees when we're not using them. I don't know if they use them other places with their employees. Obviously, the Timberlane employees, like our hourly employees, they work as we need them, and then when school ends and students leave, you know, they have the summer off.
Right, but in this case, we ended essentially 12 days earlier, right? We did 168 versus 180 because we counted hours. Plus, obviously, they wouldn't be cleaning the kitchens now. So I would think that we would have some sort of reimbursement from them for at least those days. We can talk about this,
Yeah.
you know, offline.
No, you're right. And this has always been the fear with even with blizzard bags, with counting days of school or you know, and worrying about what that does to, you know, people that rely on that, you know, bus drivers and food service folks and other people that that normally get paid when students are there. So yeah, that's significant. You know, that 12 days is almost, you know, added on to a few other days during the year. You're looking at 3 weeks pay. So yeah, so we have some questions that obviously need some answers.
Okay, thank you.
It is my understanding that for the month of June, because they're doing it until June 30th, for the month of June, we will only pay the hours that these employees work. So if it's only 5 employees working 5 hours a day, that's the only labor cost that we will reimburse them for, if that helps. And that's only for the month of June, because it's after the remote learning, we decided to keep it for June. And in June, we are paying them only for the employees that actually work and the hours that they actually work.
Okay, well, that helps then. That means that we are not paying them for 180 days. We cease to pay them.
Yes.
I think it answers the question.
That I do know.
Okay.
We're only paying for the hours.
Yeah, that's a Whitson's. Whitson's has their own revenue issue, whatever they do with their staff. They can't bill us for a service they're not providing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just
Anything
confirmed,
else?
Kim, you're right. I just confirmed. They were furloughed on May 29th, except for the ones that we're using, as Maria just indicated. So they were furloughed.
Okay, but we don't garner any savings from that?
Well, we do. The savings are because we're not paying for
We're
what
not paying them any longer.
pay. We
Got it.
only pay for what we're using.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other questions on contract updates? If not, we'll move on to the TTA evaluation plan. I think, is this Mrs. Allaire or just, let me preface this by saying this is, it is an action item, but it's, I don't know. Dr. Metzler, let me turn it over to you. You explained it to me.
Sure, Sandy's prepared to talk about this because she did most of the work on this.
Okay.
Hi. So you should have 2 proposed. Well, one is the evaluation plan, but there's an MOU. So are we starting with the evaluation plan, Dr. Farah?
Yes.
Okay. So we have an evaluation plan in the district. It's a 5-year plan. It is expiring this year. It expires in 2020. That plan was developed through a committee that comprised district and building level administration, as well as representation from all of our buildings. So many of the committee members were TTA representatives themselves. So the evaluation plan really governs the way the evaluation process works in our district. It outlines differences in the plan for staff who are within 1 to 5 years of employment. And then there are some slight variations for staff once they are in year 6 or above. So you'll see it's a fairly lengthy document, but it's very thorough. It outlines the process that begins with goal setting in the fall. And there are goals that our professionals set that connect to district goals as well as student learning objectives, hoping to contribute all together towards improving student achievement, but allowing teachers to set really personalized goals depending upon the students that they have in front of them. So that plan was developed. It was an extensive process about 5 years ago. It's been in place. It's been very successful. So we do have an evaluation committee that meets every year. That committee discusses any necessary adjustments or edits to that plan. But this past year, knowing that this was expiring, the committee's work really was focused on reviewing thoroughly the entire evaluation plan, making some really slight adjustments to it. There was nothing significant that you see in front of you that was really different from the original plan that is expiring. This plan is referenced in the CBA with the TTA, and it is the plan that really dictates the entire evaluation process. So the informal observations that take place, the number of them, the timeline, the formal evaluation process as well as should we ever have a need to put a staff member on an improvement plan or a support plan, that is all spelled out in that document as well. So it's a document that really is respectful of our TTA. We had a great deal of their input in developing this. And so any changes to the evaluation plan per the CBA do require the consensus of the school board and the TTA. So again, this was developed in conjunction with them. So I know Ryan Richmond met with his board, and he has shared with me that the changes to this plan from what we originally had that is expiring this year were so minimal that they didn't believe that it needed to go out to vote, because really it's essentially the same plan with a few little minor tweaks, things that have been cleaned up. But based on the process, it does require board consensus to adopt this plan again, and it will be a 5-year plan. So it will be in place for the following 5 years, beginning in September. I know this could be potentially confusing because we'll be discussing, or you will be discussing momentarily, evaluations and a memorandum of understanding pertaining to waiving evaluations on remote learning. So they are connected but separate. So we don't want to, it could be potentially confusing that we're presenting an evaluation plan for approval, and then in the very next agenda item, we're talking about the impact of remote learning on the plan. So again, this plan would begin in the fall, should you approve it, and it would be in place for 5 years.
Barbara?
I'm just understanding that there's at least one section that's stricken out, and that's the final determination of effectiveness. And is
Yes.
this transitioning from a previous evaluation type?
Yes, actually that change was made a couple of years ago, but we kept it in the document because we wanted it to be reflected when we came to this process. Thank you for asking about it. When this evaluation plan was originally developed, the Department of Education in New Hampshire had their own process for teacher evaluation that involved, as you see right there, an overall determination of effectiveness. It was based on percentages. So the degree to which teachers were successful in meeting their goals made up a certain percentage of that. The evaluation process accounted for another percentage. The Department of Education themselves did away with that process several years ago. It was during this past 5-year cycle of the evaluation plan. So at that time, the evaluation committee, I was not on it at that time. It was actually Dr. Wilson, our former assistant superintendent, chaired that committee. They made that change then, but they retained the language and struck through it to reflect that it had been there. But at the Department of Education no longer requires that, and they themselves eliminated that from their recommended evaluation program that they have in place.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
So I'm looking for a motion to accept this. Sheila?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Barbara seconds. Okay, can you take the vote, roll call on this? So this is for approval of the TTA evaluation plan.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the TTA evaluations MOU. I think I sent this out to the board prior to the meeting last week. Go ahead,
Yes.
Mrs. Allaire. Who's taking the lead on this?
Dr. Metzler.
Those are the personnel team. So
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take the lead. So due to the remote learning, there was an MOU drafted and developed that went out from Attorney O'Shaughnessy along with the TTA attorneys, pretty much saying that we're not going to be doing teaching evaluations in the spring because of the remote learning. So there was really no means to do that. So we need an action item so that that MOU can be signed by the board chair and then signed by the TTA as an agreement. So I'm looking for a motion. Sheila?
So moved.
Second.
Brian seconds. Kat, can you take a vote on that?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the 2020-21 staffing, I'll turn this over to Dr. Metzler.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Farah. I know there's been, well, we've talked about it a little bit earlier this evening. I know you addressed, you know, a petition that was sent in, and I know Kyle talked a little bit. I have to say, you know, some of those discussions are a tad premature. Every year we look at our budget and our staffing, and I know there's been a tremendous amount of focus on positions that were posted and pulled down, and I was pretty much asked to take a good look. We're in a transition year. We're looking at all our programs. We're looking at all our staffing. We're trying to be as efficient and as effective as well we should be. This is not a new process. This is something, it may be more of a public process perhaps than it's been in the past, but this is something that we do annually anyway. It makes good sense to be as efficient and as effective as we possibly can with the resources that the district and school board provide. So, so I asked Sandy to kind of jump in on this conversation a little bit. We kicked this back to our SLT, and which is the superintendent's leadership team. I know we all have a lot of attendees that may not, know all the acronyms, and that's your district level administrators to take a look at staffing. We have quite a bit going on right now in our reorganization and our transition year. At the elementary level, with needing to move some positions to cover some of our needs, whether they're kindergarten needs or whether they're our class size needs, and then we have programs that we're looking at. So we're looking at programmatically, what's the best way to use all of our resources, and then we're looking at we're looking at personnel. So Sandy, if you want to talk a little bit of kind of where we are and what people can expect moving forward in terms of recommendations. Not the recommendations, but the process. That'd be great.
Sure, thank you. So as Dr. Metzler said, staffing really, well, it happens all year, as I know you are aware. We do have some positions that are frequently open, and we are not able to fill them in the summer as we lead into the school year. So we continue actively looking for highly qualified candidates for many of our open positions. And I know I've come to this group multiple times over the course of the year to give you various updates on staffing and open positions that we have. I feel that we've really tried to take a very comprehensive look at our current staffing levels, our needs, our current enrollment across the district at all grade levels in our programs, and to really be very conservative in how we are using our positions to make sure that we are adequately staffed, but at the same time make sure that we are looking at student enrollment numbers, average class sizes, and being mindful of not running classes that are excessively low in enrollment, but at this same time trying to provide an optimal environment for our students and our teachers. So it really is a bit of a balancing act. This spring, we start looking at this fairly early when we spoke a little bit earlier about the course pre-registration process at the high school. That is done through PowerSchool, and we do get some preliminary numbers when we head into the later part of the spring, and our deans begin to start scheduling at the high school level. That process is unique to that building. We don't necessarily use that same process at the middle school, nor do we do that at the elementary schools. So really we need to look farther back and project our 2019-20 enrollment numbers and anticipate what our needs are going to be at the elementary level for the following year. So this year, we do have some shifting enrollment and some grade levels at the elementary level. As Dr. Metzler mentioned, one thing that we are trying to do is that rather than coming to you with requests for new positions, we are looking comprehensively at a district level to be able to utilize any positions that may be vacated by staff who may be either moving on or retiring. And if we are able to do that, to shift a position from one building to another to meet enrollment needs for different grade levels, that has been our approach. So again, we're really in the midst of this. We're trying to be very thorough in our approach, but at the same time, really trying to keep a careful eye on an optimal educational environment for our students to make sure that our staffing levels are able to continue to provide our students with a solid academic experience in our classrooms, and make sure that our student-teacher ratios are at a level that is right for students. So,
Well, thanks, Sandy. And Kim, if I could
Yep.
just, Dr. Farah, if I could just finish with that. So what makes this year a little bit different than previous years is, as people know, we've had quite a bit of a surplus in years past, and a lot of that had to do with open positions. So if we're carrying 10 positions, 15 positions above and beyond what we need, and those generated surplus, we're just not doing that now. So you saw the last year, I mean, Sandy was right down to the last position and a half, or half a position. So we need to be really effective and efficient with the positions we have to make sure that we have everything covered. You could, the obvious thing, right? So I wasn't worried when we had extra positions that we could repurpose. But right now we don't have extra positions per se. So we're just trying to be very, very, again, I'll use the two terms, efficient and effective with the positions that we do have, so that we have everything covered. So I hope that helps people kind of wrap their heads around where we are. And we'll be making recommendations, maybe not the next meeting, could be the meeting after, in terms of what kind of changes may or may not be needed. But I want to be very clear. This is not about cutting programs. This is not about cutting positions. This is, we want Timberlane is going to continue to be great, and we're going to continue to have great programs that are adequately funded and adequately served by the positions that we have. We just want to make sure that we're efficient and effective with what we do have. So if you had any questions, we're here to obviously answer them. So, Kim?
All right, Brian, then Jen and Sarah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Metzler. Yeah, it's been a pretty eventful week in terms of this particular topic of the music program, and I just want to make it clear that I think that, and I think I share the opinion of, I haven't talked to any board member that doesn't have this opinion, but I think the Timberlane School Board is well aware of the value and the importance of the Timberlane music program and what it has done for a lot of people in the past, the future. And I have personally heard from several people over the last week, that people who graduated years ago, and the program has obviously reaches far, and it's amazing the amount of people it's affected their lives. But and it's just unfortunate that that sometimes when something happens, but a job gets posted, and then it gets pulled down, that people will run off and make some kind of assumptions. And as the superintendent knows, this happens quite routinely, actually. And there are probably positions been open in our district for over a year, and I'm very confident that whatever programs were offered in the music last year will be offered in the fall, God willing, that we open up the buildings in the fall. And I just wanted to get it out there that the school board is well aware of the importance of the music program.
So I just wanted to just maybe Dr. Metzler can reiterate. So nothing nefarious, no like plans or with regard to postings being up and down.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but I think I understand the spirit of what you're asking. No, when obviously I work very closely with the chair and vice chair, and we have discussions about what the workflow will look like. We have a really efficient office in a sense. As you accept resignations and retirements, those postings go up pretty quickly. Sometimes the same night, sometimes as early as the next morning, and then discussions take place afterwards. So. No, the discussions I had was basically, the directives I was really received is basically to take a good look at everything and be efficient and effective and make sure everything is covered with the resources that we have. And that's what we're doing. That's pretty much the way it is. I mean, the positions were up there, and the participation here is outstanding. To see how many people are so interested in the process about how we post and recruit and hire. That's great. It's great community involvement. But this is what we do. It's the work we do. It's the same work we do every year. This was just far more public, perhaps, than any of the other processes that we've engaged in over the years.
Thank you. Sarah?
So just to reiterate, I would like to thank, as you had said earlier in the evening, Kim, the 2,500 people that took the time to sign the petition and email and express their support for our programs as a whole, not just the string program, but all of our programs. I can say that my difficulty with this situation was when I asked questions via email, I didn't get an answer. I asked why it was taken down, and I asked a number of times why it was taken down, and I did not get an answer. And so when that happens, you begin to wonder what's going on. This was a planned for position, and it's a very vibrant, specifically the strings is a very vibrant program, and it is well supported in the community through student enrollment and community involvement. And so to see that it was no longer posted when, the department really is going to be hopefully getting a number of applicants, and it's a very diverse department, and they all do a lot of different things within the department. So my confusion was, why are we taking this position down and not providing the department with the most amount of time possible to find the best fit? I mean, Mrs. Pajak was in that position for over 40 years and did a lot of different things over that time frame. And so there was confusion and concern. And, when people reached out to me personally and asked what was going on, I didn't have an answer to give them other than, I knew it was posted. I don't know why it's taken down. It doesn't seem like it's a position that can really be done by another individual in the department unless they are professionally taught in strings. Last year when the guitar teacher retired, the position was posted and it was filled by a new teacher, without a hitch. So, this question, when a school board member asks a question and doesn't get an answer, it's very frustrating because you're not unable to provide those answers then to your constituents, the key stakeholders who want to know what's going on. So, I just wanted, if somebody just kind of explained to me the chain of events from, when the job was posted to when it was taken down on Tuesday, conversations that were had, who asked that it got taken down, it would make me, and I think the stakeholders, feel a little bit better. And, we're just kind of they're just asking, we can get posted both positions, the Latin teacher and the string teacher, as soon as possible so that those two programs can continue to be strong and vibrant and, key parts of our education here at Timberlane.
I can't speak to when positions were taken or posted or taken down because I'm not involved in taking down and posting positions. I did answer your emails, Sarah, to the best of my ability. So I apologize if the communication wasn't clear. Sheila?
A lot of people know that I had 2 students go through that music department. My youngest played for band. She was she played for orchestra. She switched instruments. My other one was in choral in the theater department. If anybody knows about the music department, it's me. Okay? I can't hear a thing you're saying.
I have 4 kids go through the music department.
But
through orchestra.
what I'm
One is
saying
in chorus
is-
as well. I also understand what is going on in that music department.
and I understand what's going on in the music department also, Sarah, but we're two people. And when hyperbole and misinformation goes out and the sky is falling, I don't know about anybody else, but I answered several emails, several. You know,
I do as well.
nothing. Well, and 2,500 signatures, and you added to this, and there was no reason for it.
All I did was say that I didn't have the answers they were looking for.
Honestly
The
believe that
other
we're not gonna
individuals.
excuse me, I have the floor. Do you honestly believe that we're not going to have an orchestra teacher? My God. My God. Really? You honestly think that this music program that's gone on for 25, 26 years, 30 years is not going to have a strings person? Come on. There was no reason for this.
I didn't start the petition. I did not create.
You helped
It was
along
not
with
me.
it, trust me. You helped along with it. Also, I want to say one other thing. Anybody here listening that sent me an email, I did the best that I could to get back to you immediately. But, and I'm sure the rest of my school board members can attest, we have jobs, we have families, we have kids, we have to eat dinner before we get to a school board meeting, and we have to fit in an agenda that's 90 pages. So if I got any emails that I didn't return, I apologize. But on a night that we're in a school board meeting, it's a lot. We have a lot to catch up on, and like I said, we have jobs. So if I didn't answer anybody, I apologize, but just didn't have time today. That's all I've got. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Jen?
Just one other comment, because I did, you know, some people did reach out to me personally. They called me. And one thing that struck me that was very concerning, and that I hope people, you know, if they're listening tonight, can hear this and reassure their kids. What was very upsetting to me was, we obviously know we need somebody to teach strings 6 through 12. It's a large enrollment. We have a lot of kids enrolled in that program. And for me to have my kids come to me and say, oh my gosh, like all my friends are talking about, we might not have music next year and we have to sign this petition. And the kids are saying, if we don't sign this, we're not going to have music next year. My God, these kids have enough worry. They have enough angst. They have enough going on in their lives. This isn't something that they should have to be worried about. So please tell all of your children they will have strings next year. They will have music next year. The music program is not going away. So it's just not something that I think these kids or parents should have to worry about at this point with everything else going on in the world right now. It really, really bothered me to hear that this was the worry that they were carrying around with them for the past week.
Anything else on this topic? Jen, I agree with you. From my own perspective, my daughter went through string program from elementary up to high school. I have a twin sister who's a professional musician. I play professionally. The last thing that's going to happen is that we're not going to have a music program. So it's unfortunate that it seemed to take legs on with very little information. So I appreciate everybody's support of it. We had some very heartfelt letters that at least I received. And it's clear that music makes a difference in people's lives, as does education in general. But I'll stop. Sean?
Yeah, I also had two daughters that went through this program as well, and they both did very well with it. And I've been very pleased with the whole program as well. But an organization always needs to self-evaluate itself at all times. And it would be very wrong for Dr. Metzler not to look at the program as is right now and look at it and figure out maybe we can make some small tweaks with it to make it even better. Bring this information back to the board and we discuss it. But to just cavalierly just keep things going as is basically a wasted opportunity. And I commend that he's actually doing this time.
Sarah?
It's great to hear and see the amount of support for the program. I never doubted the support from the program from the school board, and I have said that. I have said that on social media, that it was very good to see the number of school board members that were speaking up. But this petition was specifically requesting that the string and the be posted as soon as possible. It's clear this position needs to get filled. Obviously, everybody supports the string position, and they understand that the 6 through 12 position is unique. So all of the people who sent in the petition were asking for was to have this position reposted as soon as possible.
Not necessarily, Sarah. Some of those people were signing the petition thinking they were doing away with the whole music program.
Well, then they didn't read the petition, because
Oh,
the
that's what
petition
we were
clearly
getting.
states, the petition clearly states that it's asking the school board to request that the position be reposted to fill the vacancy as soon as possible. That's what it's saying.
The rhetoric was thick, very thick.
Yeah.
I didn't write the petition. I'm just saying, if they took the time to read it, and especially read the bold face, it specifically asked the position to be posted, because the position and the strings program is important and unique. I personally just want the music department to have the most amount of time as possible, to have the largest applicant pool, so that they can pick the right person who can continue to work for the district and this string program for as many years as possible. It's going to take a unique individual. This isn't something that can wait, I believe, until July or August to get posted and potentially filled. It needs to go up now. That is all we're saying.
Okay, Barbara?
Clearly, I support the music program. I play violin. I did choir in school. But this idea that you immediately slap a job posting out, first, the amount of people who were touched by Mrs. Pajak is very clear from the petition and from the letters we saw. So, again, great thanks to Mrs. Pajak. But we need to take a look at what the job description is. We have to make sure it fits in with what we want the program to be going forward. Let's just take some time, look at the position, make sure that we're asking for the right thing and hiring the right person as we move forward with the music program.
You got the recommendations.
That happens during the budget season. That's when heads present their budgets and their staffing requirements, and the budget committee goes through and reviews all that. In this position, who better than the music department head, the director, to create the job description? They know what they need. We don't know what he needs. He knows what he needs. So, it's a simple request. That's all this was about, was to just get some. Hey, we would really like this position posted as soon as possible, so that the music department has the time it needs to fill the position with the right applicant.
Okay. And then Jen, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, it was only 2 weeks ago that we accepted resignation of a long-valued music teacher, and I'm hearing loud and clear, Sarah, from the superintendent and to every board member, something's going to happen. Since I've been on the board, I've also been told that, right, wrong, or indifferent, there are certain times a year this is the wrong time to hire people. So I'm sure we're going to be superintendent. I heard him say that they're looking at it. His staff is looking at it. I believe, as a father of a teacher, most teachers have already started their contracts. So we were late in the game, and I definitely don't blame Mrs. Pajak, because she's going to be almost impossible to replace a person of that stature. But again, I think, let the system work. We will get someone, and you're going to see the program continue. And I think they, as Dr. Metzler says, if you're looking at reorg, I think you have to look at Even the next step, you've got Tony. He's you're going to have from a year, 2 years. We don't know how long we're going to have Tony, but they have to start looking ahead. Who replaces Tony D? Because it's a big thing to Midland Music. So you got to keep it moving. That's all, and I'm sure they will.
I'd like to just make a motion to request that the strings and the Latin position be reposted before our next meeting to follow policy GCF, which says that it is the policy of Timberlane Regional School Board to both post and advertise all professional vacancies so that we are not out of compliance of our own policy.
Okay, Sarah makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion for the music one. I don't think I have enough information on the Latin one. If you want to separate that,
I will make it for the music position, for the strings position.
That's fine. I'll second the motion to post the position.
Brian seconds. Jen?
Just 2 comments for discussion. I believe what the superintendent was saying was that he is going to be posting as soon as possible.
You go.
I'm not really sure why we need the motion to do that if he said he's looking at everything with his team and will be posting as soon as possible. I think that's already happening. But to the comment about positions being in the budget, when the budget is created a year before, that is correct. These positions are in the budget. But I think the superintendent and his team, and Dr. Metzler, correct me if I'm wrong, every year, this time of year, as resignations and retirements come in and you're looking at enrollments, if one year you needed, 3 second grade teachers in a building and the next year you only need 2 and somebody resigned, well, just because there were 3 in the budget from the year before doesn't mean you're going to put 3 back if the enrollment in that second grade building doesn't support 3. So yes, it's in the budget, but these kind of adjustments change and, take course as needed throughout the year, correct?
Kim, you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's what Jen's referring to is is the repurposing of positions. And I know sometimes people think, you could literally have a high school physics teacher and that position could get vacated and that position could end up being repurposed for a kindergarten position. They're full-time equivalents, so we put them in the budget. I think, this discussion, we're kind of going round and round. Mr. DeBartolomeo, Mr. D, Tony D, there is nobody better in the business. And I know there isn't anybody on this Zoom meeting that's going to argue with me about that. And so I rely heavily on him beyond words for so many things that are Timberlane specific, and whether it's music and even beyond music, he's as good as it gets. So he's looking at everything. He's going to make his recommendations about what he needs for his program to continue to be successful. We're going to take a look at it, and we're going to bring those to you. So I think that's kind of where we are in the process. So we can repost the positions or not. I really want to give him the opportunity at this point now, since we are where we are, right? I want to give him the opportunity to take a look at the whole program and see what he needs. If it's status quo and it's exactly what he's had and that's his recommendation, then so be it. But who knows? Who knows what those recommendations might be? He's like I said, he's as good as it gets in the business. So and he's going to tell us what he needs, and we're going to come to you with those needs, and hopefully you'll be able to support them. How long, we don't want this to go on for too long, but I think it's something we could probably take care of in the next couple of weeks, I hope.
So you think you can have those recommendations to us for the next meeting? I mean, I'm feeling conflicted about this motion because I don't want to force something. If the plan is to come back with these recommendations to us by the next meeting, then I don't see the need to force doing something prematurely.
Well, that's one promise I can't make, and not because I don't want to make it. It's to give him an opportunity. The other thing is, positions can be posted. The school board ultimately is going to decide if someone's hired or not. So I think, I wouldn't want to post positions and bring candidates to you and have you not accept the candidates. I mean, so that's not a good practice. So we're trying to do exactly what we were directed to do, take a good look at everything and come with any kind of recommendations. Sometimes the recommendations would be, it's perfect as is and let's just keep doing it that way. Or, there's better ways to do things. And we are in a transition year where we're reorganizing. So there isn't any harm in posting them. However, I'm not quite sure. He may have recommendations that are asking us to post things differently. It's not necessarily less or more. It might just be different. So I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know if we'll have it for the next meeting. Obviously, the superintendent's leadership team will work closely with Mr. D and see where it goes.
Any other comments? Brian?
Sarah, do you want to amend your motion till Dr. Metzler has some input from Tony? I mean, I agree with what I'm saying, but if I'm not trying to usurp whatever,
I'm not trying to usurp anybody's power or position or role within the district. I feel like this position is likely to be one that is recommended. It's a strings position, strings focused, 6 through 12. There was only one teacher that did that for a number of years. Maybe the recommendation might be that they would rather have 2. I don't know, but I don't feel that there's any harm in posting the position and having and enabling the music department to start collecting applications. They don't have to start interviewing people. They don't have to start, present a candidate to us right away before next week or next meeting, but there's no harm in posting the position and getting the word out there. That is the point, the reasoning behind my motion, because I would be very surprised if a strings focused instructor is not on the recommendation that we see at the next meeting. So it's just a way to get ahead of the game and get a jump on receiving resumes.
Personally, I'm going to vote against this motion because I would rather leave that up to the superintendent's recommendation that's coming from the music department as to how we're going to do this, because I don't want to post. I personally would not want to have a posting up there that doesn't articulate what the position is actually going to be. So I'll take this as I don't support the string position. I don't support the music department. I support that the administration has asked to take a look at this and that they are going to come back with recommendations.
I support. Don't take my motion as me being contrary to the administration or to Mr. D and what they would like to do. Again, the reasoning behind this is just to give them the largest window to collect resumes and start the process. I'm not second guessing the decision of Dr. Metzler or Mr. D to take a look at the department, because again, they may reevaluate and decide that actually they could use another staff member or something. I don't know, obviously. But I just feel that this position is likely to be included in that recommendation. And I don't see the harm in posting and requesting resumes.
I just don't see the reason to go against what the administration is requesting, that they take a look and come back. So I'm going to call the question. Kat?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
No.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
No.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Oh, and I echo the same exact reasonings that Dr. Farah has illustrated. Give the opportunity to the departments to weigh in.
Mrs. Savage,
No, and for the same reasons that Sean and Campbell stated.
Mrs. Silva,
Yes.
four to
Yeah,
four.
what's the vote? 5-4?
Well,
5-4,
Four,
correct?
four. It's 4-4.
Oh, it's 4-4. Then the motion does not carry, right?
Correct.
Motion fails. Okay, moving forward, pre-K kindergarten enrollment.
Okay, Sandy and I think Lucy and Melissa are all on, and they have quite a bit of information to share with you in regards to this.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm actually going to turn this over to Lucy Canotis, who's our Director of Elementary Curriculum, and Melissa McDonald, who is our Director of Preschool and at TLC. So they have some updated information for you regarding enrollment in preschool, pre-K, and kindergarten.
Good evening. In your packet tonight, you will find up-to-date details as of this past Friday around our enrollment numbers, class sessions, and available spaces in each program. We've included any information we have on in-district transfers, as well as accounted for students transitioning from the preschool program to pre-K in neighborhood schools, as well as pre-K at TLC to a neighborhood kindergarten classroom. This year, we did create new flyers for each program offered in the Timberlane Regional School District. Those were distributed in all towns as new student registration opened on February 1st. The 3 neighborhood schools of Atkinson, Danville, and Pollard all held their pre-K and kindergarten parent information night the first week of March. However, unfortunately, TLC at Sandown Central's was canceled due to the school closure. It was scheduled for just after March 13th. In our preschool, which is our 3-year-old program, in our pre-K, our 4-year-old program at TLC and in the neighborhood schools, we are bound by state expectations for certain ratios between our regular education and our special education students. And these ratios allow us to keep an early childhood learning environment for our students who attend. When we have classes with open slots, that means that we can't always fill them if our ratios are not within regulation. Currently, our preschool sessions have openings for all students, and we are always looking to enroll students who are not on special ed IEP plans, so peer partners and regular education students. The pre-K at TLC has openings for all students, and those waitlisted at Atkinson and Pollard are always welcome to register over at TLC at Sandown Central. I'll let Lucy speak to the kindergarten piece.
Thank you, Melissa. Good evening, everyone. Our kindergarten class placement has been granted based on the requests of parents or guardians. As of today, all schools were able to meet the needs and requests of families for either full or half-day sessions. As Melissa said, letters were sent to all preschool, pre-K, and kindergarten registrants on June 1st, so Monday of this week. Those letters notify parents of the seat their child secured in a session. So we assume any parent not contacting school to change that placement is the confirmation that this request remains current for them. Timberlane has seen a rise in full-day kindergarten enrollment over the last few years, and because of this, we are now able to offer 2 full-day sessions at all the neighborhood schools and 3 full-day sessions at Sandown Central. So as we move forward, we encourage community members looking for class placement for their 3, 4, or 5-year-olds to reach out to their neighborhood school. The school will update those requesters with the availability of each of the programs and enroll students if there is space, or provide the name and number of another district program. But moving forward, we expect that the securing of seats will essentially be confirmed on a daily basis.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, okay, Jen, then Barbara, then Sheila.
So you said as of today, for kindergarten, all requests have been met, because I did have some Atkinson parents reach out to me that received letter of half day and they had requested full day. So I don't know if they were dealt with today or if they should,
Yeah.
if I should tell them to.
Jen,
reach out.
it's Sandy. I can actually jump in there. I believe this may be the same family that you're speaking of, but I was referred a family earlier today, exactly in the same situation you just described. And Mrs. Deotis, I believe, has already reached out to them to put them in full day.
Okay, there are a couple of them. And then my question is about pre-K. I'm not sure why, so we have, why are we not offering 2 half-day sessions in Atkinson if we have 16 waitlisted?
Our neighborhood schools of Atkinson, Danville, and Pollard have historically only had half-day teachers, so they do only offer an AM session. TLC at Sandown Central has full-day teachers, and so we're able to offer both an AM and PM session for our pre-K students. And since we are the district program, that is why anybody from any of the surrounding towns is able to come to our school.
So if we have enough students to fill a class in a neighborhood school, we would not look to add that class.
I think at this point, it's not a position that we have open. So if we were looking to add a position, that would be a request we would have to come to the board with in adding a half-day teacher, which essentially is likely not just adding a half, but changing a half-time teacher to a 1 FTE.
So in total, we have 28 waitlisted right now for pre-K. And
Yes.
at Sandown, at the Learning Center in Sandown Central, we can fit 26. I'm just trying to do the math. There's 29 max seats.
In pre-K, there are 4 half-day sessions.
So I guess what I'm asking you is if all 28 of those people that are waitlisted said, yes, I want to go to the Learning Center, do we have room with our current staffing at the Learning Center for all 28 of those kids?
I'll let Melissa speak a little bit more, but numbers wise, yes. What Melissa was referring to before as far as ratios is where we get stuck. So if all 28 students tipped the ratio one way or the other, then we can't accommodate the early childhood setting, and therefore also could potentially be looking at needing another space in order to allow for all students to be received.
So I'm assuming those 28 waitlisted are regular ed students. Otherwise, we would already have them in one of our programs, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
And we do need to leave openings in all of our buildings for the possibility of special ed students, whether they are moved in and not already accounted for, or whether they are referred throughout the year.
So what is the ratio we're looking at?
So for our pre-K, our max is at 17. So ideally, we're looking at no more than 8 students on an IEP to 9 regular education students. There is a certain time within the year where the principals as well as myself will speak, and if they have not filled all 8 of their special ed seats, then we can open up to some others as parents continue to inquire or move into the district. However, we do like to leave at least 2 or 3 seats open to start the school year so that we're not starting at our max capacity.
So the ratio doesn't really come into play, because if we have 28 regular ed students, they're not going to tip the ratio on the 8 IEP per classroom.
As long as we are not giving away all of those seats. We want more typical. So yes, you are correct. We are hoping for more regular education students to be able to be peer models to our students on IEPs. We just do not want to give all of those seats away right off the bat.
So what I'm driving at here is if we get to a point where we are looking to add another half-time teacher at the Learning Center because we have, you know, these extra students interested. I would personally prefer to see that half-time teacher in Pollard or Atkinson at the neighborhood school where those kids are currently living and waitlisted.
Ideally, yes, because we would like our students to be with the peers that they will be traveling through their elementary years with.
Okay.
All set?
I think so. Yeah, as long as everybody understood what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, you know, I hear you about needing to hire another position. So in pre-K for our regular ed is an optional program. It's not something that we're required. But if we do get to that point where we're looking to add another half-time teacher, I don't think it should be at the TLC. I think it should be at one of those neighborhood schools where there is.
Agreed. And I think Melissa can tell you historically, at least at Pollard, we've had numbers that give us reason to consider that other half day. I think where we, you know, get stuck is to Dr. Metzler's point earlier about trying to be efficient and effective with staff. We don't want our class sizes at TLC to be really low and add another position in order at Pollard, right, to take on the historic extra, the historic waitlisted kids. So this is as of May 29th. I think the other thing to make everyone aware is that we have seen a decline in registration this late winter, spring compared to other years, and we assume that to be the remote learning situation we're in and the unknown of what's going to come in September. So, you know, these numbers as they sit, although they seem fairly equal across towns, that registration is lower than what we have seen around this time in the last few years.
So can I just ask one more question? So are we holding 7 seats in Atkinson, thinking we might have 7 identified students coming into that pre-K program?
So we have maxed our typicals at this point in that program. Yeah.
And so, so some of those waitlisted, they could end up, you know, late in the game hearing that they're coming off the wait list if they would like.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Barbara, did you have a question? Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, how'd you know? You could tell. So typically what happens, you said we actually had more people on the wait list last year for pre-K in Pollard and Atkinson?
No, I guess I was just referring to that Pollard has had a wait list for pre-K for a number of years. In fact, Melissa at TLC, typically her enrollment increases with those Pollard students. You know, it is the choice of families as to whether they want to go to TLC as opposed to their neighborhood school. But Pollard definitely has a spillover there.
Okay, and generally by the start of the year, how many people are turned away at Pollard?
Melissa, do you have an estimate?
I
don't have those numbers.
No, we can certainly find out, but I do not know off the top of my head.
I don't need exact numbers, but it's usually less than the wait list in the spring.
It is usually, yes. Throughout the summer months, there will be some families that will contact with other plans made. And so they'll choose to take their child off the list, which pushes somebody on the wait list into the program.
Okay.
Barbara, I just learned, thank you, Mr. Blay, about 6 to 8.
Okay, so traditionally we're turning away 6 to 8 kids from pre-K each year at Pollard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is tuition rates. Dr. Metzler or Mrs. Watkins?
Yeah, I think we would back to Maria. I think if you're ready, Maria.
Yes, I am. So we would like to present to the board the tuition, our out-of-district tuition rates for the school year 2021. This year, as every other year, the tuition rates are increasing slightly. As you know, in calculating these tuition rates, we utilize formulas that help us look through our budget, not only through our budget, but also through the Department of Education enrollment numbers. So that's how we arrive to these figures. So we would like to present a kindergarten tuition that will be $8,900, elementary $17,800, middle school $17,800, high school $18,000, and special education $35,800. Taking into consideration that the special education rate does not include costs associated with the specialized services, specialized transportation, or one-to-one assistance.
Is there any discussion on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Sheila makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Kristen seconds. Kat, can you take the roll call?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Muckamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the last item on the main agenda is, you'll see in your packets, there is a letter from me to Mr. Boyle, who is the chair of SAU 55, regarding termination of the SAU 55 lease agreement. Per the contract, we need to, in writing, notice that Timberlane intends to claim total premises of the SAU 55 office building no later than June 30th, 2021. So I'm looking for a motion for the board to authorize me to sign this to send to Mr. Boyle as the SAU 55 chair.
So
So
made.
moved.
Sean makes them, Sean gets it first. Sheila gets the second, I guess. Kat, can you take the vote on that, please?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Muckamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Thank you. Just two other quick updates on the withdrawal. There will be a non-meeting with council of the board that will be on June 9th. Everybody should have received an invitation to that through Zoom. And there is scheduled an all-day mediation, I think from 9 to 5 with Hampstead. So Kristen and myself have been chosen to mediate. We will be, we are employing a professional mediator that will be, the cost will be split between the two districts. And so that will happen on June 11th. It will be via Zoom since we don't have the opportunity to meet face-to-face. So I would expect that, I don't know if we'll have updates at the next board meeting, but the board will be updated on those. Okay, moving on to the administrator's report.
Thanks, Dr. Farah. My only item would be a non-public item, so I'm going to ask if you could call a
Sure.
non-public later.
Yes, we'll move on to the personnel report then.
Excellent. So I'd like to take the renominations and the nominations together, if that's okay. If you remember how the renominations come, sometimes that's license or certification driven and documents to follow. So we'd like to renominate Lori Bailey, who's a high school science teacher, along with 3 other nominations, a high school science teacher, a Sandown Central teacher, and a Pollard math specialist. That's Nicole Bilo, Sandra Peters, and Teresa Nevins. And I apologize to Nicole if I mispronounced your name.
Question? Yeah. Dr. Metzler, you said the high school science teacher. I have a middle school science teacher here.
Oh, that is correct. Thanks for catching that.
Okay, no, I'm just making sure.
Yep, those are the acronyms again.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to renominate Laurie Bailey, nominate Nicole
Yes, Bollier. Full year.
Full
Absolutely.
year. Sorry, Nicole. Sandra Peters and Teresa Nevins.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Brian seconds. Kat, could you take the vote, please?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resignations.
So we have 5 resignations. Bethany McKillen is a science teacher at the high school. Kathleen Ryan, Sandown Central pre-K teacher. Nicole Fraley, a math teacher at the middle school. Susan Dower, middle school nurse. And Alexandra David, she's an Atkinson Academy FLES teacher. And they have their letters are attached in your packet.
I'll make a motion to accept those resignations with regrets and thank them for their service.
Is there a second?
Second.
Barbara seconds. Kat, can you call the roll?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Farah, could I just on hiring and the
Sure.
process? Yeah, so
Sure.
it's an interesting time of year in a very interesting year. So and some references were made to this earlier. So this time of year, some staff have already signed contracts elsewhere. Some people are asking for extensions and have not signed them. Some people just don't sign them and then they don't come back, and we have openings. And so typically through the months of June and July, there's a lot of phone calls between superintendents asking if somebody can be released because you want to hire them. I had to make a few calls based on a couple of people that you just hired, and then you're releasing people. So that's pretty typical. When you get into August, that's where it starts to become a little more difficult, primarily because you don't want to release somebody because it may be a position that's very hard to fill. Typically, you reluctantly eventually release someone because you don't want someone staying that doesn't really want to be there. So this process. I know we see a lot of names. That this probably will go on now for the next few meetings. We got to talk a little bit probably at the next meeting about summer hiring and how you want to go about that. But this is pretty standard for this time of year. Just so you know, you can expect this probably to go on. I know Sandy's got a few people in the queue to bring coming forward as well. So that's really where we are in terms of hiring. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next thing is committee reports and reports of the school board. I don't know if anybody has anything. Barbara and I would like to get the energy committee going. So if we could take an action item to set a date for that. I think people are usually free in the evenings now still. Barbara would request that we do that in the evening. So if we could get that going, I'm not sure. I would assume Mr. Paradis would be on that. Dr. Metzler, we haven't met on that committee, so I'm not really sure who comprised as the committee.
Yeah, typically your director of facilities, so that would be Gary Paradis, and I like to have the CFO on there primarily, or his representative. It could be Maria. We could talk about that, and then depending on when they are and whether you need me or another central office administrator there. I've sat on them. We talked about different things in terms of solar panels and different ways to, and we've had quite a few conversations. That'll be great to get that going. I know we have some really some good opportunities with some of
Yeah,
our.
and I'm particularly concerned about the smart lights in the classrooms, the LED replacements, because that seems to be coming soon.
Okay. So could we try to get that arranged in the next week or two?
Certainly. What was the request again? They wanted to have the meetings in the meeting
In the evening, right, Barbara? After 5:30, right? So probably 7, 6, yeah, evenings.
Yeah, I mean it's just around people's availability, and I'm sure we can figure something out. So we'll have to check some dates and see what works for folks. But Barbara? What's the best night for you? Or does it matter?
Well, probably a Thursday or a Tuesday.
Okay, so if it was a Thursday,
I'll make it work. I'll just make it work.
Well, Barbara, one strategy would be eventually we're going to have policy committees before one of the two school board meetings. The other could be that committee. So it's at the policy committee meeting. So that might work.
Right. But for the summer, I think we could just have it on some random Tuesday here in the summers.
Yeah, correct. If we don't have a meeting to put it with, and it's nice if you can do two things on the same evening. But yeah, we'll figure that out.
Okay, great.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Anything else under committees? No correspondence folders. Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment who's ever been driving around the district and putting up these congratulations signs for the seniors. Someone did a great job in Atkinson and Dow Common. And you already mentioned whoever did that thing in the Carriage News. That was very, very well done. So there's a lot of challenging things going on. So my compliments to who was ever behind the scenes making that happen.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, we're going to need to move into, I guess we're going to move into a breakout session in a non-public. So I will be looking for a motion to enter into a non-public under 91A:2, section. Sorry, I have the right to know here.
Let's see.
C. Yes, A:3, paragraph 1, section C.
Jim,
No,
do we?
paragraph 2, section C. Paragraph 2, section C. So 91A:3, paragraph 2, section C. I'm looking for a motion to enter. Sheila?
Do we have a breakout? Do we have an email for a breakout session?
Dean's going to need to send us one right now, I believe.
Okay.
I have an email queued up. I need to know, in addition to board members, who else needs to be included in that session?
Just Dr. Metzler and Kat Lancaster.
Okay, just sent it out.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So
I'll make the motion to go into non-public under 91:2-C.
91A:3, section 2C.
Do we need to leave this meeting officially to go into the other one? Like,
well, we need to recess because we need to.
If we have any motions?
I gotta hit the leave. We gotta leave, right?
You gotta hit the leave
Yes.
button, and then you'll be able to rejoin after we come back from non-public.
Dean will Dean will just stop recording until we're ready to come back. So text him when we're ready to come back, and then he'll start this meeting so that we can adjourn. I don't anticipate any action. So everybody's board members leave this meeting on your email, go to the next meeting. And after we're done with that one, we'll come back.
After we make the motion.
Trust me.
After we make the motion. Sheila made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Sean seconds. Okay, Kat, if you could take the roll. This is to enter into a non-public session.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockmer,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
There's Jen.
She
Okay.
leave already?
Maybe she left already. That's okay. It's right that she's not there. Okay, so we'll see you in the other room.
Wait a minute.
Are you guys going to be taking any action when you come back?
Probably
Don't
not.
Or anything
anticipate.
substantive? Probably
No.
not then.
All right, then. Bye. We wish you the best
Bye,
of luck.
thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Kyle.
you so
Jenna,
much.
for attending.
Kyle.
We'll see you next time.
Good luck, Kyle.
Thank
luck.
you.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Silva.
Yes.
Thank you. So if you have any items that you want on the next agenda, please send them to me. And I would anticipate that we're going to meet over the summer. A question was asked of me, just because the uncertainty with what's going on with the COVID thing, and that the board may have to make policies or make decisions or.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'm just going to adjourn the meeting. I don't think we need a motion.
Perfect.
All right.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
everybody.
everybody. Thank you, the staff.